I made a comment on a couple days ago on the Rublev icon that you posted with regard to the Trinity. Mm-hmm. And I'm familiar with that icon. And I was a little confused of your position on it. Maybe you can explain that. Maybe that could go into...
On the icon itself or the Trinity in the Old Testament?
Yeah, like your interpretation of that icon with regard to Rublev and just regard to what you believe the Orthodox point of view is on that icon.
Well, I mean, the text of Genesis that I covered last night in the Trinity lecture explains that one of the visitors is the Lord. It's the angel of the Lord identified as Jesus. The other two angels are angels. And the very next chapter, the very first verse, says that, and then the two angels left to go and basically destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. So it's a symbol of the Trinity in the sense that there's three, but the only member of the Trinity that's visibly, physically present is the Logos, the angel of the Lord.
So you're okay. So it is, but you're saying that the fathers used that as a symbol of the Trinity, even though two of them were created angels.
That's what the text says in the next chapter when it says that then the two angels came to Sodom in the evening. That's the two angels that left this meal with Abraham.
I'm sure you're familiar with the whole doctrine of orthodoxy about uncreated and created and how that gets into real peculiar places.
Yeah, they're called Theophanies. Theology.
Yeah. Why would, in light of that, why would they take two created beings, these two angels, and attribute that to any kind of symbol for the Trinity? Why would that be?
Because of the principle of eidos, which is that the idea of the Father or the idea of the Spirit are mentioned all throughout the Scriptures. Anytime you have the letters F-A-T-H-E-R or S-P-I-R-I-T or Holy Spirit, those are created symbols of the Trinity.
Yeah, I think these kinds of things only make sense to Christians who have been thoroughly indoctrinated to their own ideology. Like
why does that only make... Hold on. Why does that only make... I mean, that's just an argument from John Damascus about symbology.
I know, but maybe I'm just shifting gears just a little bit.
Sure.
But as Christians who are looking out into the world and ready to correct all forms of, doctrine, whether you're Muslim or Jewish or Hindu or what have you, there's so many things like this that just really do not make sense. They only make sense to Christians who are in their own hothouse and breathing their own air.
Okay, so you don't think that, let me for last night we did an entire 2-hour talk just on Theophanies in Genesis, and you're saying that that's all just hot air that I kind of imbibed, that the texts themselves don't actually present the form of God in the sense of this person that's walking around that's called God many times?
No, I'm not really attacking you personally. I'm speaking generally from
Okay, so you don't have an actual argument against anything I said. Now you're going to the fact that I'm just indoctrinated.
I have the argument. No, I do. It's only in this, not to you. Again, this is not a personal attack. This is to you.
I'm not taking it personally.
This is an address to like a Christian, an overall
So
Christian
hold on. Do you
position.
think that the Bible doesn't teach the Trinity? Is that what you're saying?
It may or may not. I obviously the Jews don't think it does.
What does that have to do with whether it teaches it or not?
Well,
do you understand that's a fallacy?
Let me ask you this question.
Do you understand that that's a fallacy?
Do you have to believe in the Trinity?
Do you understand that that's a fallacy first?
As someone who's it's only a fallacy if you're within the Christian church and you ascribe to that.
Okay, so you think fallacies are... No, the argument that you made is a fallacy. It has nothing to do with what church you're in.
Do you have to believe in the Trinity in order to be saved?
Do you understand why that's a fallacy?
I don't understand.
The argument that you made, you said Jews don't believe in the Trinity. That has nothing to do with whether Trinity is true or false. Do you understand that that's a fallacy?
I don't know how that's a fallacy, but let's just take that for granted.
Okay, let me explain how it's a fallacy. Muslims don't have your view.
Okay,
so do you understand that it has no relevance? It's a fallacy of irrelevance.
Okay, fine.
Is that a fallacy or not?
It's a fallacy.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you have to believe in the Trinity in order to be saved?
Yes.
So what you're... Okay. Explain why.
Well, it's the fundamental revelation of the scriptures that's who God is. And if we don't accept what revelation tells us about who God is, then we're not worshiping God as he wants to be worshiped and known. So you said the scriptures may or may not teach the Trinity. What is your position?
Say that I'm a man who's never heard of anything
Okay,
before.
but what is your position?
No, my
So you're not
position
gonna
is say that I'm a brand new baby and I've never
What-
heard of
you're-
anything before.
why don't you-
I have
what
no
is-
position.
Instead
Say I
of
have
okay,
no
so you're
position.
so you think you're an agnostic? Is that what you're saying?
No, Jay, just say I'm a
No,
brand
I
new.
don't want to argue with hypotheticals. Like you don't have an
No.
actual position.
No, take this for what it is.
So
Take
you don't
this
have
as
an
if I
actual
was just born
position.
today. Take it
Why
as I
would
was
you
just
not?
born
Why
today
would you
as
not?
Adam.
Why would you not defend your own position?
Why do I have to? Who says I do?
Well, usually debates involve one position being defended against another, and I think.
And I'm debating
okay.
you as someone who knows
Okay, well,
nothing.
so can I start debating for some random other position? Would that make any sense? Why would you not
No,
defend you?
I'm asking you. I'm asking
Because
you to
it's
present the case.
because it signifies bad faith if you're not going to defend your own position or say what it is.
Who says that? Why do you think so? Why do you immediately judge me as bad faith for just coming and asking?
Because
questions?
it shouldn't be
you're
difficult.
Saying I have to
because
believe in a Trinity in order to be saved.
It's sophistry if you won't say what your belief or your position is.
Your name calling. What does sophistry mean? Explain. Why are
Sophistry
you name calling
is
for
an
something?
action. It's not name calling.
No. You just called it sophistry. That's calling me a sophist. Explain
It's an
why.
action, right? That you're engaging in sophistry.
Okay. What is the action? Explain that.
Why can you not say what your position is?
What does sophistry mean?
That you won't answer questions directly. You talk around it. You get bad answers. You get bad arguments, fallacies, etc. All that's sophistry.
That's what sophistry means.
As
Is
well
that true?
arguing over words and definitions of terms.
I no. Well, that's
Well,
exactly
so,
where
well,
I'm getting.
well,
That's exactly
you-
where I'm getting.
you-
now
you
with the
ran away-
Trinity.
well,
You're
hold on.
arguing over a Trinity that says someone's not saved unless they believe it.
Correct.
You're arguing over words right
Well,
there.
we started with the
Is that not
text. But hold on, we started with the text, and you ran away from that. Why don't you want to go back to the text?
What text are you referring to?
I said last night I gave a 2-hour lecture on the Theophanies just from Genesis.
What text are you referring to in Genesis?
There's about 40, I would say.
The whole book.
No, 40 texts of Theophanies. I'm rounding it around to about 40.
I was not a part of this discussion last night, Jay.
Okay,
So,
but my point is that we can go through those texts, and why don't you want to go to those texts and explain to me why it's not the triad?
no, go for it. We can go one
Well,
by one.
I started with the text, and you said, "Well, you're indoctrinated to believe those things." That was what your argument
Well,
was.
you certainly. I mean, I don't think you realize that you are, but you are.
Okay, wait a minute. So you're not indoctrinated.
I don't know if I am or
Okay.
not. I would think.
My argument is my approach to all these kinds of questions is that every human being is indoctrinated and religiously holds their worldview. So whatever your mysterious, unnamed worldview is that you won't defend, you hold it as a religious commitment, is my view.
Maybe not.
No, everyone
Maybe-
does.
maybe
No,
you're
by
just- maybe
necessity.
you're just
No,
not-
no,
maybe
by
you're just-
necessity you do.
You make a lot of these affirmations that I don't necessarily see within myself. I mean, you have every right to say this stuff, but I'm not so sure it's these things you're saying are
Well,
true.
I think it's that you can demonstrate the fundamental nature of how a worldview works. Everybody has fundamental commitments that they believe on a faith-based, in a faith-based sense, that they're not willing to give up unless those presuppositions are themselves challenged. So if you're an agnostic, let's say, you're going to interpret things according to your paradigm. You're correct that I interpret things according to my paradigm, and I am indoctrinated. I just simply believe that everyone is. Even if you're an agnostic, you're also indoctrinated, and you hold it as.
I'm not really opposed to what you're saying right now, Jay. I think you're probably you're probably correct.
Right, so that's why I end up oftentimes, if I'm talking to an atheist or an agnostic, I end up arguing this sort of presuppositional transcendental argument stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not here to argue as some kind of moving target. Really what I'm trying to tag down here is kind of really your position as why is the Trinity necessary for salvation? Can you explain that to me?
Because God, if that's who God is, and we believe that it is, And if that's how he reveals himself, and if we're being invited into that Trinitarian life, that's what eternal life is, as Jesus says in John 17, is to partake of that eternal glory that he had with the Father before the foundation of the world, and to become sons of God, and then to share in that Trinitarian communion, then for us, that's what's absolutely necessary to be preached and taught.
Yeah, this is a system of ideas that's...
Well, you asked me what the position is. So
yeah,
calling it ideas doesn't do anything or prove or disprove anything.
And I understand that this is a Christian worldview, and it makes sense to Christians within that worldview.
Okay, so are you wanting to argue why the Christian worldview is true? Is that what you're going for?
I think that it probably ends up there. Is why to the whole world, this idea that God is a Trinity is somehow salvific. Meaning, and first off, you have to believe in the Trinity in order to be saved, and then you have to ask the question, saved from what?
Well, saved from your own choices, your own damnation, your own evil.
Who says that I'm damned in my own evil in the first place for me to even know that I need that?
Well, again, divine revelation is our ultimate authority and commitment, and men are fallen, and so they need...
Circular argument, which...
Yeah, but I by affirming that we all have our religious commitments, I believe that paradigm level arguments are circular.
Okay, well, that's a good admission, but we will often point out to people that their arguments are circular.
That's different from a vicious circle. That's two different things, because it's two different orders of argument, different categories.
Okay, so when it's convenient, you just pick them between categories.
Two different categories. So if you had a philosophy class, you might know this, because there's such a thing as, like, have you had any classes on Wittgenstein?
Well, first off, to assume that I haven't is kind of rude to just say that.
I can't assume it because I already know from the way you answered that you haven't, because you would be familiar with these topics.
That's very judgmental, and maybe I'm
okay. So now it's about.
No, you made it personal. You made it personal, Jay.
No, I can already tell that you're not familiar, because you would know these things if you'd had an epistemology class or if you'd had a class on Wittgenstein.
You're being very clever, and it's not working.
No, it's not working. You think I'm just trying to be tricky here? No, I'm talking about actual.
No, you most certainly are.
I don't know. All I know is tricks. Yeah.
We can get back on track.
Yeah, so
I won't be going down.
Can you explain? The point here is that the way that language, for example, works is that you can't define language or meaning without referring to language or meaning. So at a base level, linguistic philosophy is circular, and worldviews are the same way. If you're going to talk about what your ultimate epistemic authority is, for example, at a certain point, you're ultimately going to have to appeal to something that's self-referencing, right?
Let's start at the very beginning. What does the word God mean? Since you're so well on epistemology, explain where the etymology of the word God comes from.
Well, that would be the etymological fallacy, first of all, because the origin of the word is not going to matter to what our debate is.
Okay, no, define the word God and then tell me where it comes from. Let's build.
I don't have to. What does the English transliteration of theos have to do with what we're talking about? I'm making a point. Hold on. I'm making a point about logic and argumentation and starting points, right? So,
do we use words in logic? Logic comes from the word logos, and it has to do with words. So let's go there.
Yeah, and so all I'm pointing out is that in philosophy and linguistic philosophy, you'll note that at a certain point things are circular because you have to rely on the same thing that you're appealing to, right?
Everything is circular, Jay. I agree.
No,
now let's go back to the word
not
God.
Everything is. At a fundamental, ultimate level, things are circular. Not everything is circular. So that's why I said it's a category error.
Let's start from the very beginning. Where does the English word God come from?
Are you going to defend a position or say what your position is? Are you an agnostic?
Step by step.
So you don't want to engage. You don't want to engage in a transcendental argument discussion.
I want to define our terms. Let's define our terms.
I've already said that God picks out the Trinity, or God the Father specifically.
What does God mean in English? What does that word come from?
Do you want me to just I repeat it? It picks out for us God the Father. The English transliteration or origin has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
There is no English transliteration.
God is a reference to theos in the Greek. God is a generic term.
Theos is the Greek word for God, but
right.
why was the English word God chosen? What does the word God mean in English? Where does that word come from, and why did the translators of the word God...
Are you the guy who says that God is the word gad and that it's a demon?
Am I saying that? No.
Are you that guy?
No, I am not that guy.
Okay, so how is this...
I don't even know what are you referring to real quick?
There's another guy who comes on and argues this point, and he says that the word God is the identical phonetically to the text in Isaiah that says that they worshipped Gad, and that Gad is a demon.
No, I don't know anything.
Okay, well, you
about
sound like that guy, so I thought that you were him.
Well, no, I have no idea what that is, but I mean, I'm just using
this has nothing to do with whether there's a transcendental argument for God's existence or not. Do you want to talk about that, or you just want to argue about words? Because everything you've done is deflect away from anything substantial.
No, I don't. I think it's very substantial when we're trying to get to the very words that we're using to describe.
Well, every point I've made, you've deflected off to some other point. Now we're having to talk about. What is your point with the word God? What's your point?
You can't even use language in the first.
That's not what transcendental means. You don't even know what you're talking about. Are you think you don't even know what this is? Like, what do you think a transcendental argument is?
Define transcendental, Jay.
You said it's not. No. You said that it's not that. So that means that you know. And what is it?
No, please go ahead and define the term for
us.
No,
you already spoke as if you know. So I want you to tell me.
I will work with your definition. Just define the term.
No,
please.
What is the transcendental argument?
I don't know it, Jay. Tell me.
Oh, right. So, well, then why did you act like you knew?
No, maybe I do. I want to know your definition.
I'm not going to debate if you don't know because you played like you knew. So you're not a good faith debater. You're a sophist.
What I'm trying to do, and I'm sure the audience can probably.
No, the audience is laughing at you, dude.
I'm trying. No, they're not.
Yes, they are. I can see. Well, I can see the chat of about 700 people laughing and calling you a meltdown. So what's a transcendental? What's a transcendental argument?
I'm trying to attack someone down.
What's a transcendental argument? What is it?
You said
you knew what it was. What is a transcendental argument? Silence.
No, don't. What I'm trying to.
What is it?
What I'm trying to do is
So you don't actually know.
What I'm trying
Everyone
to do.
is laughing. You see, it's all LOLs.
Look, you can try to humiliate me into the corner.
No, you did this yourself.
What I'm trying to do is actually have a conversation about real words here.
You said that words. So you're not gonna. You're not gonna answer.
No, words that are based in reality and not transcendental, not above our heads.
That's not even what the word means. So you didn't know. So you didn't know what a transcendental argument was, but you played like you did. That's not what it means.
Okay, fine. Let me just say, I don't know what it means. Please define it for me.
Right. It's a type of argumentation that comes out of Aristotle and Kant, where you prove something by the impossibility of the contrary. The form, for example, is X is the necessary precondition of Y, Y therefore X. So that's how we argue against any position that's agnostic or atheist, by showing that they can't give an account for their assumptions and their presuppositions or their use of logic.
You just said a lot of words, and I'm sure philosophically it's all correct and nice and tidy.
All right, we're done.